Welcome back. We're here with Scott Genereux from Nirvanix, and we've been hearing a lot about the cloud, and Scott's going to tell us a little bit about the different kinds of clouds. He's going to help us.
Thank you. So Nirvanix, just real quickly for everybody, is a cloud storage provider, and I think the important part of that is the word cloud is being used by everybody, right? I think everyone and every company is tagging that name, so it's really hot. In fact, if anything, it's probably overly used. There's companies, there's analysts out there now that call that cloud washing almost, because it's like everything's got the word cloud on it. But I think the key is that what we focus in on is just cloud storage. So there's companies out there that do cloud compute. We don't do cloud compute. I mean, that's obviously, servers attached into the cloud that people run their applications on. There's other parts of the market where there's storage attached to cloud compute. And in that scenario, we don't really focus in on that too. That's usually tier 1 storage, high performance. What we really focus in on is cloud storage by itself. So you can buy it, and it's mainly for archival, backup, data collaboration, data movement type infrastructure across the board. As a company, one of our biggest market segments is the rich media, media and entertainment space. Some of our largest customers are in that space, and a lot of them use us for their digital asset management, archive, storage, and once again, also collaboration.
But isn't it also safety, because you have your assets in other places? So the tragedy in Japan, what if something happened to your building? Your assets are safe. Is that?
Yeah, so I think the key is for us is that the cloud gives you the capability to move data around the world globally. And so in Japan, when the tsunami hit and the earthquake hit, for us, it was kind of interesting because our data center is actually 250 miles away from that area. But, there was a lot of concerns. There was a lot of unknown that people were really concerned about. There was conversations about rolling blackouts, to get the power back up and running. And so we actually offered to all of our customers that were in our Japanese location that we could move their data out very quickly into another one of our locations around the world. We have 7 locations around the world. And we had a handful of customers that took us up on that. We did it for free for 60 days just to, to do the right thing for our customers. And then most likely what will happen is they'll move back in that location as that area dies down. So, but you asked an earlier question I think is important, is that, so in the cloud space, a lot of people talk about cloud, they refer to it as public cloud, right? And we have a public cloud offering. We have 7 data centers around the world. We have one in LA, which is kind of tied into one Wilshire, which is obviously really important for the rich media companies. We have one in New York, we have one in Dallas, one in Frankfurt, 2 in Switzerland, and we have one in Japan. So if somebody wanted to go out and put data into one of our, locations, it's usage-based. So, which is very radically different, and that's really, in my mind, the definition of cloud. You only pay for what you use. You don't pay for a big amount of capacity up front. So if a customer wants 100 terabytes and they're only using 10, they only write me a check for 10 terabytes until they ramp up and then use more data, which is great for customers. Because in the rich media space, we have customers who get bursts of data. Right? All of a sudden, there's a post-production house who has signed an agreement with HBO, and they're going to get an influx of movies all of a sudden. And instead of having to go out and write a big check for hundreds of thousands of dollars for additional storage that they need to put on the floor that could take them 30, 60, 90 days to do, and with the approval process, it could even take maybe, who knows how long, right? With us, they can be up and running and have access to capacity literally within days. So it gives them a lot of flexibility. So that's public cloud, right? We also, though, have customers who have come to us and said, look, as much as we're confident in your security, I don't know if we can get our auditors convinced to go put this into one of your locations. So we came out with what we call the hybrid cloud and a private cloud offering. And in that scenario, we'll put it in the customer's environment, in their data center, and we'll still manage it. We'll still be usage-based, so it gives them all the benefits of the cloud. But in that scenario, it also gives them the security of saying that the first copy is in their data center. The cool thing about it is they can do a second copy anywhere in the world. They can still copy that into the public cloud.
So it's always backed up.
So it's always backed up, and it gives them, once again, that flexibility to be able to do those kind of things. So that's kind of our public and private scenario too. We're the only cloud provider that's out there today that offers public, private, hybrid. And so that's pretty cool.
Now, again, this is all new and evolving, and there is some, People aren't exactly sure what cloud means, like you said. So when they come to you, will you lead them to the right path?
Yeah, so because we do all of it, and we also have a data mover, which is kind of a data appliance that you can download and actually move data into the cloud. Because we have all the pieces, and we call that cloud complete, it actually allows me to sit in a room with a customer and actually design a cloud infrastructure for them for their particular environments. I was just over at our booth a little while ago, and we had a prospect come in. We've been talking to these guys for over a month, and they were thinking public. That's what they're all thinking about. And I said, no, I can do this and this and this. I go, why don't we spend a couple hours on a whiteboard and kind of figure out what your customers' requirements are, and really design something specifically for them. So because we own all the pieces, we can do that. So it's not like I'm trying to just shove them into a public or a private scenario. And there's a lot of people out there, that's all they have. So that's all they kind of try to drive them to. And it's different requirements for different customers. Some people have requirements. One customer I was talking to earlier, they're expanding heavily in the Eastern European area, right? Well, they don't have infrastructure in the Eastern European area. Well, we have a data center in Frankfurt, right? So for them to move data into there allows them to get up and running pretty quickly. And they don't have to write a check for millions of dollars. Companies that do rich media, and actually other markets too, a lot of them don't want to spend capital for, computer equipment, right? That's not their core of what they do. So the idea that we can come in and give them that infrastructure on a cost usage basis becomes very attractive. So.
Okay. What else do we need to know about Nirvanix here at the show?
Yeah, so we've been around for over 3.5 years. We actually have over 1,000 customers, which is great. And we have everything from a customer who can go to our website and flash a credit card and buy 1 terabyte of storage. So if you're a little photographer, just building your business, it gives you an amazing amount of flexibility and access that the big guys have. And then obviously we have customers that have multiple petabytes of data in the cloud. We have a lot of customers who have 100 terabytes, 200 terabytes, and petabytes of data. We are the largest cloud provider for companies of that size. And as I mentioned, what we're really focused in on is this unstructured data. And unstructured data is the fastest growing piece of data that's out there. 65% of the data that's being created today is unstructured. By the way, videos, images, all of that stuff is considered unstructured data. It's funny, when people talk about data, they talk about online applications and all that. But really the amount of data that's being created today is a lot around this unstructured data. It's growing at 10x. So it's just huge.
Now, I also know that you've been working with Front Porch. Can you talk about that relationship?
Yeah, so at the at NAB this week, we actually announced a relationship with Front Porch. So Front Porch Digital, great company. They're installed in most of the major studios as their digital asset manager. And through that scenario is that they probably have, I think they said they have over 100 plus petabytes that they manage, that predominantly goes to tape. So we announced that with their Diva products that now we're going to basically be their cloud offering that's integrated into it. So customers now will have a choice of not only backing up to tape, they'll be able to back up to the cloud. And also once they're in the cloud, they can also do multiple copies, and they'll also be able to get that data anywhere in the world. So anybody anywhere in the world will be able to access that data if the customer chooses to allow them. So it's really a great offering. So you're going to see a lot more application providers like Front Porch that are going to start integrating options into a cloud. Customers don't want to have to think about buying 5 different components to be able to manage the infrastructure. So companies like Front Porch, when they can offer the total solution, becomes really attractive to a customer.
Now, I know that the cloud actually helps with protecting your data, but are there some people who are a little nervous about using the cloud, and how do you sort of allay their fears?
The answer is there's always some of that. Now, interesting, it depends on the market, right? Once again, in the media and entertainment, if you're talking about smaller companies, they seem to be fine with it. That's just what they're used to. You've got a generation of people that grew up here, with the internet doing this kind of stuff, right? So it's not as big of a problem. When you talk to the corporate IT guys, they get a little more nervous with that. But that's why we came out with hybrid and private clouds, to be frank, is that it allows us to be able to give them the same functionality they want around usage-based pricing, but it allows them also to be control of it a little more in their world, right? So we still manage it. So they get the benefit of the cost, but they also get the security of them having it in their data center four walls. So that's one of the biggest reasons we came out with it. I'm convinced, though, over time, today that's what customers are doing, some of them, but over time I think you'll see a lot more pushback into the public cloud because their auditors will get used to it. Today we do tape. When you look at tape environments today, there's a lot of risk and security issues around tape, but that's all we know. And so based on that, the cloud to me is a lot more secure, and I think over time more and more people will get comfortable with it and use it. So, security always comes up as a big issue, but to be frank, after about 10 minutes sitting in a room talking about all the security things that we do, in addition to what we just talked about, it goes away pretty quickly. Data collaboration tends to be a really big one for the cloud. This idea that I can move stuff into the cloud and anybody in the world can access it within a day is huge. So we have post-production houses that, want to do data collaboration. And so what they do is they do rendering. Rendering's not great for the cloud, you need high performance. But once you're done rendering something, what a lot of these guys do, which is kind of interesting, is they'll take it and they'll burn it down to a DVD, right? And then they'll put it in FedEx, and then they'll move it from FedEx out to London or India or somewhere else, and it takes 3, 4, 5 days. When they're done with rendering, now they can upload it to the cloud, and within a day, anyone in the world can download that and start playing with it, accessing it, and doing their rendering with a new group somewhere. So it creates a huge amount of collaboration around the world. That people can access it and grab it, so people don't all have to be in the same room. So it's a cool feature.
It is pretty neat. Well, you've got a lot going on. I mean, it is the trend. And so, what are the names of your products?
Well, we have our storage delivery networks, right, which is our public cloud offering. We have a product called Cloud NAS, which is our gateway product that moves into, the data into the cloud. And then, obviously we have our file services and we have our media services. We have our security services. So it's all built into that file system. So,
fantastic. Scott, thank you very much. This was great, and we'll be right back.